I'll be there in no time. Baby, baby, tell me what you wanna do. Hey. It's alright, yeah, you know it's alright. Baby, baby, everything is up to you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back again. I just want to thank you, Mikey, for that phenomenal interview. I appreciate it. Time really does fly when you're having really good conversation, and I wish that Instagram, the powers that be at Instagram Live, would give us the same allotments that they give to the quote unquote big named individuals who they allow more than 1 hour to be on Instagram Live with. Nevertheless, we are coming to you in our 9 o'clock hour with our second artist interview, InQUEERies discussion with one of, if not my favorite producers. I don't know if he wants y'all to know his government name, but we're just going to keep it with the stage name, Amorphous. I have known this man for quite some time, and when I say the growth and the sheer genius that is locked inside his brain is it's unheard of. He's like, and I'm not even saying this lightly, but he is like of another generation creatively. It's amazing. Like what Mozart was to his generation, this is what this gentleman is to ours. And I don't say that lightly. And without further ado, I am going to bring this guy up. Put some hearts up, please. Put some hearts up for Amorphous. Hey.
Sorry, I'm looking a little bit of a mess. It's a tornado warning right now, but
Oh
I'm
wow.
doing okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you might hear a little bit of interference, but I'm here.
Okay. Are you okay? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. It's normal in Florida, so
Right.
it'll go.
Right. You're back in Florida.
Yeah, I'm back in Florida for now. You know, COVID-19 got some stuff messed up, so just back here chilling.
Wow. Thank you for being on this.
No, it's been a long time. I haven't seen you in a while.
Like a long time. How have you
been? How have you been?
I've been great. I can't complain. Like dealing with this Corona stuff that has like.
I know.
I mean, I've been learning to draw from the productivity that this downtime has allotted us. So
right.
There's that. But how have you been,
right.
sir? What's been going on in your world?
I've been good. Just trying to stay sane mentally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, locked in quarantine all day. I can be a homebody when I want to, but I like to have that choice. Like if I want to go outside, I'll go outside. But,
right.
Trying to occupy myself. My sleep schedule has been completely messed up. So I've been, up all night and sleep all day. So I have to get that under control.
Yeah, that's kind of been my
right. Yeah, it's been a mess. I'm just creating, working on different types of music. I'm still trying to finish my album. I've been working on this for like 3-4 years. That's tiring.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been number one in line waiting. I'm just gonna put that out there, sir. Is there an anticipatory?
Nope. I'm tired of telling people it's gonna come out this year. It's gonna come out this year. And it just can't. I was supposed to. It was pretty much finished in 2017.
Right.
And it was going to premiere on MTV. Mm-hmm. But then there was other factors. I had to get it mixed and mastered. I couldn't get it done in time. So I was like, whatever. I just kind of went back to the drawing board. Mm-hmm. I've kind of been working on that. But I do know that when I'm ready, I do have a support system. I have a lot of people that are in my corner. So it'll do what it does.
So how did you cross paths with Division, and how did that happen?
Oh, wow. Okay. Sometimes I kind of forget that just happened.
How do you forget something like that happens?
I don't even think about what I do on the internet.
When you're as booked.
Right. when you're booked and busy. But honestly, I don't even think of it like that. I kind of just go on about my day and whatever opportunities arise, whether there's something I've dreamed about, if they come about, I don't want to concern myself too much with them. I don't ever want to get on a high horse about myself. But the project was Division. So Division, I've loved them ever since they first came out with September 5th. Even before that, when they first put out their first track, I believe it was The Line, I fell in love with all of the work. And in November, I had just randomly, I don't even remember what I was doing. I just came home from like a long night out in LA. And I had this idea to mash up Usher's Nice and Slow with their track called In Between.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put it on the internet like I usually do. I don't even really overthink that kind of stuff. I just kind of make it, put it on the internet, and let it do what it's going to do. And as soon as I put it up, 1985, who is the producer half of Division, he messaged me on Instagram. And I sat there like, what was that about? I was afraid to open the message. I thought he was gonna be like, yo, take that down.
Oh,
Open the message,
yeah,
like, yo,
yeah.
right? You never know. Like copyright, they can't stand me. But I checked the Instagram message, and he's basically like, hey, do you mind hitting us up? Like, do you have time to talk? So of course I had nothing to do. I'm bored. So we get to talking a little bit. He was like, look, that was genius. I just wanted to reach out to you because we're thinking about maybe taking your mashup and putting a remix version of it on the album. And I was like, oh, like, am I going to be, that's really flattering. Am I going to be somewhat a part of it? Like, am I going to be able to help out with the track? I let him know that I produced and stuff. And then the rest was kind of history. After that, they, I think from what I remember, it was originally supposed to be Usher featured, and then they got Snow on it, which was fine with me. I love them both. And I was honestly, after, you know, they got the permission to use my mashup, technically, I kind of just let them take most of the reign with it. You know, it's their project, it's their album. So I had no idea when the song was actually coming out. I just got to do a couple little things. And so when it dropped, I was kind of just as surprised as everybody else. But that was definitely a highlight of my career. I feel like that is the moment that I kind of been dreaming about, to work with that kind of big artist. I used to joke around with my friend, my best friend Chrissy, that I wanted to work on OVO one day. And now that happened. So I'm definitely very glad.
You know what? I think I guess the main ingredient to your success, I mean, and this is just me like watching you like for the past decade and some change. I feel like the way you move is with very pure intentions, and it's never for clout. And it's like it's like you are literally the definition of your gifts making room for you. And it's just been like, it's been a thrill to be able to say, oh, that's my friend. You know what I'm saying? And to watch all of this stuff unfold for you, because you're so deserving of it. Like, you are so
much.
Very deserving of it. Like, at what point did you know, okay, production, music, this is going to be my life? Explain that.
Okay, so that's an interesting story because I've always been just a creative in general. I used to think I could sing. I can't. I'm going to let you know that right now. So I used to, you know, do my own little music and try to put some runs, and it ain't work out. But I knew ever since I was 4 years old, I knew. I used to beatbox on the porch of the house I grew up in with my older brother. I used to beatbox We Need a Resolution all the time. And I feel like that was kind of like my first inkling, like, oh, I want to be into music. So I guess in 2013-ish, that's when I kind of really started taking production seriously. My dad got me a production program called Ableton. I begged him for it. I don't usually ask my parents for stuff like that. You know, if they want to give it to me, hey, I'm not going to complain. But I don't want to go out and ask them to buy $1,000 equipment unless they really want to. And if I do ask, it's something that I know it's going to be worthwhile, that I'm going to put my all into. So, you know, he spent like $3,000 on equipment for me. And you know, without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I didn't really look at any tutorials or anything. I was kind of self-taught. So I just kind of trial and error, messed around in the program. And then I knew Azalea Banks. She did the remix competition. I was a big fan of her. And I just randomly just did like a little remix. I'm going to tell you right now, to me, I think it was trash. But, you know, I was a fan of Azalea Banks and everything, and she knew who I was, and she knew that I was a really, really big fan. And I remember just sitting there looking at my Twitter when she was getting ready to announce the winner, and all of a sudden, I couldn't even check my phone because it was buzzing completely too fast. And I won the $10,000. So I think that's when I really knew, like, even if I might not necessarily be a fan of my work at that time, it wasn't where I necessarily wanted it to be, I knew that this is something that I should definitely pursue.
That's something that I always tell up-and-coming artists. It's like 9 times out of 10, what we think is quote-unquote wrong is actually our own overthinking. And us being our hardest critics, and us not being able to just fully get out of our own way. Because once you do that, you will discover that the doors, they didn't need to be open. The doors were already open. You just needed to walk through. And so what advice would you give any up-and-coming producer who is trying to make it into the industry?
That's a good question because I do get that question in my messages a lot of the times. I know a lot of producers or even just artists, especially Black queer artists, that are asking, "How did you make it? Like, what was your plan?" And it's always a hard question for me to ask because, in a way, I didn't really have a plan. You know, when I think about the mashups that I did, I only kind of did those because I was bored. When I really think about it, I was bored. I had nothing to do, and I thought it was a good way to kind of just see if some of my songs kind of went together, and I would, you know, maybe do like a creative trailer or something, put it up online, go to sleep, and then the next day it would blow up. I had it was no plan. But I would honestly just say consistency is key for a lot of people. Even with like, you know, I put out a single from my album. Again, my album was supposed to come out last year. That was the tentative date. But the first single from my album last year. And I didn't really get the time to put that much energy into it as I wanted to. I had just moved to Los Angeles, like literally like 3 days before it came out.
Wow.
So I was getting adjusted there. Had a bunch of just stuff going on in the family. It was just a lot of stuff going on. So I didn't really give it the attention that it deserved. But that didn't really bother me because I knew that it was just a great feeling to put it out. So unless you're worried about, oh, is this going to blow up? Is this going to get millions of views? If you worry about that, you're going to be disappointed. You just have to put it out and hope for the best. That's
wow. You were a product of, or I'm sorry, you're an alum of Full Sail University. What was that experience like?
Ooh, Full Sail. That was interesting. I loved Full Sail. I'll say that in general. I had a really good time there. You know, a lot of people know me mostly from music, but film has also been a huge passion of mine ever since I was a little kid. And so I knew going, because I actually got accepted into Cal Arts.
Wow.
And I know everybody was like, "Why don't you go there? Why don't you go there?"
You know what? Real quick, when I graduated undergrad and I was about to put the application in for graduate school at Full Sail, I had two professors in my mass comm department. I'm not going to say any names, but they were like, no, don't go there because they're new and you want to go somewhere more established. Had I had listened to my right mind. But I'm sorry.
What do you think? What program are you going into?
So I'm torn right now between film and just the general MFA in fine arts.
Okay. So the thing that stood out about Full Sail to me in terms of film, I can't speak about anybody else's experience with that school. Some people have horrible experiences, some people have great experiences, some people are going on to do great things. So that's why I feel like it's more on the individual. But I wouldn't have gone to Full Sail for anything other than film. Like I was going to go for music, but then I was like, for what? I already know how to do music. I can go to the studio and learn stuff that I don't know. I can mess around with soundboard. I don't need to spend $90,000 to go learn that. So, but film, that's a whole different thing. Of course, you can pick up your own camera and do that wherever you want. But to get your hands on, you know, the Arri Alexas and all those big cameras, that was something that was really tangible. And I felt like that was going to be more worthwhile than anything else. So that's why I decided to really go to Full Sail. I said, you know what, I can actually, 20-month program.
Right.
We're not going to get into that. 20-month program. And, you know, I can knock it out and then see what happens from there. You know, when I first started going to Full Sail, I didn't expect everything to happen during those 3 years to happen, you know. The Rihanna documentary, the Aaliyah documentary, I did those all on my own time. So it was just,
I remember that process for you, especially with the Aaliyah one. That I feel like that was your Jean Grey moment. Like I feel like at any moment you was just gonna pass out and be like, "Oh my god."
That was a lot. It was that I was doing the BZ project. I just was putting out stuff. I was just bored. Like that's really where my creativity started, when I was bored. But yeah, Full Sail. I graduated in August of 2018, so 2 years ago, and I knew that Full Sail was not going to be this one shot to, you know, stardom or a big name gig. And I feel like that did play a part in why I became a little bit more hellbent on making a name outside of that, making a name outside of the school and trying to garner an online presence, because that goes so much farther away than just the alumni pool. So, but I enjoyed myself. It was cool.
You had a rather, I would say, unique relationship with your parents in terms of you being queer. would you care to share about?
Yeah. I figured I was gonna talk about that because I just talked about it anyway. That was an interesting story. Okay, so I don't know. I guess for me, growing up, I feel like everybody knew I was gay. I feel like pretty much everybody knew I was gay. Like I don't know how you could question it. And I know some people try to chalk that up to me just being like really open, but no, okay, I was going around dancing to Lose My Breath and shaking my little behind. Like it was nothing. I didn't care. I was very open-minded. And I feel like that also played a part in the fact that I went to a Quaker school that was, it's all about kumbaya. Everybody is equal. And I went there ever since I was in preschool. So that was the mentality that I grew up in. And that's something that you should always teach all of your kids, is that everybody's all the same. Problem is, that's not necessarily how the real world works outside of those walls.
Right.
So, everybody, I talked about this on Twitter the other day. Everybody knows, I was sexually assaulted when I was a kid for a couple of years. And that was traumatic, but nowadays, I've moved on from it as much as I possibly could. I'm able to talk about it openly. And that was a bit of a problem with my parents. My mom, not so much. She was a little bit more supportive, and I love my dad to death. That's still my father. He's an amazing person, but he didn't really take to it too well. And so there was a couple of instances where I was afraid to say what was actually happening. So I had to, in order to kind of talk about it, I had to not really tell the full truth. So I would tell my friends like, oh, this so-and-so happened, but I would never mention any names.
Right.
And one of my friends in school, she went to the teacher, how anybody would if you say something happened to you. Told the teacher, hey, Jimir is saying something happened to me, you got to have a talk with him. Go into the teacher's lounge, they bring in my parents, and then it's like all these questions like, why aren't you telling us what's actually going on? And da-da-da-da. I just kind of broke down and kind of said, this is what's happening, stuff my family's going on. And I just remember my dad just was like in complete denial about it. I'm like, why would I make that up? Why would I not say what's actually going on? Y'all got me in a corner now. So that was difficult, and I feel like in a lot of ways, like I said, I love my family. That's my family. There's so many people in my family that are really great people. And I'm not necessarily saying my dad is a bad person, but I did realize once I said, hey, this is happening in the family, especially to me, a lot of people in the family kind of cut me off. In a way, like they just stopped talking to me, or it wasn't the same. Like, if I reached out, it wasn't a problem, but I didn't get that same kind of love back. And I don't think I really got that reciprocated again until, oh, Beyonce knows who you are, and Rihanna knows who you are. Oh, what's that? And do I want to be bitter about that? No, because I'm not going to let that make me into an angry person. I'm not going to cuss them out because of that. I love everybody. It's just something I just noticed, and I noticed that with my dad, especially. My dad, he went to jail last year, so that was difficult to deal with. And, I got a really triggering letter from him basically saying, he was there the last time something happened to me. And that was hard to deal with because, and it is still hard to do. I feel like that is the most triggering part of everything. Like, I moved on from what happened when I was a child, but knowing he could have possibly intervened, I'm still processing that. Right. But I know that I'm not going to let it turn me into a person that is filled with hatred. And I believe people can change, and I feel like I have a right to believe that.
Have you ever gone through therapy for this?
Yeah, I went to therapy. Therapy was interesting. I went to therapy when I was 11, 12, which was like around when it started ending. And that was interesting because my therapist, she was a white lady, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as a black gay kid, I couldn't really identify with her. I didn't really feel, I was open, but I didn't really feel that kind of connection. And so I feel like in some ways, had it been a black man that not even necessarily had empathized exactly what I was going through, but just a black man to listen to, I feel like that would have been a lot better for me. But, I was really suicidal at that point. I didn't want to do anything with my life. I was very, very depressed. And then one day I just woke up like, okay, look, it happened. You can own it happen. Are you going to let what this person did to you destroy the rest of your life? You're talented.
Were you able to confront your assaulter?
I'm sorry?
Were you able to confront your assaulter, the person who assaulted you?
Not in the way I would have wanted to. When I was the last time I saw him was 2015, I believe. It was at a family reunion. Anytime I was at a family reunion after that, which was pretty rare because my mom was sick, he was never around, and I feel like he was never around because everybody kind of knew. Like it wasn't just me that he was trying to do stuff to. It was other kids, so they kind of let that part of the family just kind of go and do what they wanted to do. But I remember just I was walking into the house and it was I believe it was my grandmother or my grandfather's birthday, and I'm seeing my cousins and all those people. And it was a really great time. And I walked outside, like into the backyard, and immediately he was so far away, but I knew it was him.
Wow.
And I had like the biggest anxiety attack because nobody gave me a warning. It wasn't like somebody said, "Hey, just so you know, he's outside" or something. I mean, who knows how I would have dealt with it then? Maybe I would have been like, "Okay, well, I'm going back home."
Right.
But it was just a legitimate blindside. So I ran out the house, didn't tell nobody, ran out the house, ran at least 3-4 miles away. Called my mom, broke down the phone with my mom, because my mom wasn't there at the time. She, they were separated. And, you have my dad, he was blowing up my phone, like, where you at? Where you at? What happened? What happened? I'm like, what do you think? What happened? How was I supposed to know he was going to be there?
Right.
And eventually he's like, well, just come back. We'll come back. My brother, James, he'll take you to go get something to eat. I'm like, why do I have to leave? But okay. So I come back, I'm still a little bit messed up. Go upstairs, they kind of shuffle me upstairs so I'm not disturbing anybody. And, I'm just in tears, just crying. I'm like, oh my God, first of all, I can't believe that y'all would allow him to be here with me. But all these other kids, just because there's grown-ups around, why would you still want that kind of energy around children?
Yeah.
And, I just remember my brother dragged me down the stairs because my older sister had driven all the way down from Philly to Delaware. That's where the reunion was, to come pick me up. What the hell? No, you're going back home. And I just remember being dragged down the stairs, and the last thing I remember seeing was him looking right at me, just smiling, wow. Just smiling. I was like, wow, he gets to have a relationship with the rest of the family, but I have to be the one that has to be the one to go home. I said, why didn't he go? Why didn't he leave? Why, So I don't really know what's going on with him now, and I don't have any hate in my heart particularly. Does that mean I don't have a relationship with any of those particular people? No. But, life is life, and in some ways, I do wish everybody the best. I wish people can learn and grow from certain mistakes. I don't think every mistake you can learn from, but that's the kind of energy I like to put out for myself, just for my own sanity. If I really allowed myself to spiral, I wouldn't be here talking to you today.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to take this time to let anybody know who is either watching now or who will watch this later that it's not okay to be molested, raped, touched, have sexual advances made on you without your specific consent, your cognitive consent. That's not okay. And it is contrary to popular belief, never too late to say anything. It's never too late to tell anyone. It's never too late to report. It's never too late to call the cops. It's never too late to speak up. And there is a national 1-800 hotline number for sexual assault, and that number is 1-800-656-4673. It's very imperative that that information gets out there because there's so many people who are suffering in silence right now, and you don't have to. I don't care how long ago it was. I don't care who has said around you that you should have said something sooner. It's never too late. But switching gears a bit, once upon a time, there was an online YouTube parody show called The Legends Panel.
God. You can put that up.
Yours truly was a part of said YouTube parody show, The Legends Panel. I rarely talk about it, but it's funny how when I do, people are like, "Wait, what? You were a part of that?" Yeah, I wrote a couple of this episodes and scripts. I voiced a number of characters from Tina Turner to Chris Brown to James Brown to Gloria Estefan, but that episode never saw the light of day. And there were Dionne Warwick. There was a couple other people that I voiced, but I wasn't the only one on this live interview who was a part of the Legends panel. Sir, would you care to pontificate and reflect on your time with the Legends panel?
Okay. Legends panel, that was interesting. You know, I always forget about that. I really do. Like, when somebody brought that up to me like 2 months ago, they were like, I recognize their voice. I said, what are you talking about? They were like, you were Beyonce on the Legends panel, right? I said, who? Wait, what? They were like, no, you were Beyonce. I'm like, okay. Yes, I voiced Beyonce on a number of episodes on the Legends panel until they replaced me for some reason, even though I was a favorite. Can't hate the player. But that was an interesting experience. It was fun. I will say that. It was fun. It was fun to... It was, you know, when you think about those type of parodies, there was one episode that got on my nerves. Okay, the Beyonce versus Ali episode. I couldn't stand the episode because I was like, why am I the one that has to voice Beyonce and go after my girl? I love them both, but the jokes that they were saying, I was like, no, okay, this is not cute. And Lamont, who, you know, he helped run the Legends channel, he was like, you got to do it. You got to do it, get in character. I'm like, am I getting paid for this? Because I promise you can replace me right now. I don't think I'm saying certain lines. But other than that particular episode, it was cool. It was cool. I had nothing to do after school. I just came home and right, of course, that episode. I had nothing to do when I came home. I just, you know, got on my little mic when I thought I could sing and put some voices, and they put it together, and it was cute, I guess. Nobody even knows about it, though. I think my ad name was different at the time.
It was,
too.
yeah,
like,
it was something totally different. Mine was.
Whatever. People don't really know it was me, and I'm low-key glad about it. They can let it be somebody else.
You didn't just voice the characters, though. You, like, produced you did some of the musical promo for that. Yeah.
I did.
There's an unreleased Tina Turner track out there. I remember you had me drop your vocals, boy. Oh well, I'm kind of glad that one never saw the light.
I'm trying, like, you reminded me about that stuff. Like I said, I'll be going on my own little world. I don't even remember that stuff. Yeah, that was cool. It was cool. It was, you know, you think about Got to Be Real. Right. I love Got to Be Real. Got to Be Real is legendary and iconic. Okay, nothing would happen without that show. But it was great to see, you know, there's other different shows. My friend Darcel, he did something called R&B Divas Legends, which was that we had a channel called Official Shade TV. And we did like these little stuff on there. So it was just cool to see, you know, people's creativity, how they exercise that for YouTube. I kind of missed that era a little bit.
Yeah,
YouTube is very stacked now.
Like you said, hindsight is 20/20, and it's like I honestly forget it myself until like someone like literally they'll hear me laughing, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, you sound like or somebody, or I'll be in a group chat, and then someone will bring it up, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, yeah, I was a part of that." But I mean, I will say for its time, it was very it was kind of iconic, and what really, what's the word I'm looking for? What makes me happy about it, looking back on it, is when people come to me and say that whenever I was feeling depressed, I would cut that on. You know? And that kind of like makes all of the other stuff that came with it, you know, worth.
All the behind the scenes mess, okay, all that. All the behind the scenes.
It did make it worth it. You spoke on the part of the Beyonce Aaliyah back and forth. When did your love for Aaliyah first develop?
When I was 3-ish, 4-ish. I have very vivid memories when I was that age. There was still, we had it on camera actually. My brother used to record all around the house. I don't know whatever happened to it, but I'll never forget when Aaliyah's final album came out. Mind you, like I said, I'm 4 years old, so it's like, what really do I know? But I remember when that album came out because my dad had his company was in a high-rise building, and the FYE was at the bottom of the building. It was on the first floor, and I remember we took the elevator, went down there, and they had all the posters around, and we got that album. I already knew about We Need a Revolution. And my favorite song on the album, I think, when I first heard it, you know, we had the little Walkman and stuff with the loose rap because it reminded me of a video game. Like that's all it sounded like to me. All I heard was like video game little sounds, and to a 4-year-old, that was cute. I was like, "Ooh, that's cool. Who's that?" And ever since then, it grew. My brother said the weekend that she passed, I do remember it. I don't remember her actual passing. I remember being in Virginia Beach on vacation. I didn't realize that was the weekend that she had passed. But it's crazy how my memory goes back that far. And yeah, so ever since that, my brother got me into her, and then it just spiraled out of control into, I love everything Aaliyah. I know everything about Aaliyah. Let me go on here and make a documentary. Like I know something. So yeah, that's where it came from.
And what actually made what was the spark that said, you know what, I'm actually going to make an Aaliyah documentary? Like, what sparked that?
Like everything else, boredom. I was bored. I was very bored. I remember that night. I think it was a combination of things. I was bored, and I was tired of her being credited on Twitter. And it's no secret that I was on Stan Twitter a lot, and in some ways I'm still involved with it. But Stan Twitter is a whole different, especially, I did that documentary in 2017, but even if you go back 2014, 2013, 2012, Stan Twitter was a whole different thing than it is today.
Right. It's a whole other breed.
They couldn't, like, no shade, they really couldn't handle that today. Like, it was too much.
Yeah.
It got real personal. But I was just tired of that. I felt like that was not fair. And a lot of, you had a lot of people on Twitter that would make things like, oh, death jokes. They'd be like, oh, she died in a plane crash. She wasn't that big when she died. Yeah. And it frustrated me because her family and whatever, because we're not really going to get into that because they don't really care for me. But it was frustrating that they would allow certain things to happen, the biopic and every other craziness to go on, and they wouldn't tell her story correctly. Like, why is, you think about Selena, who has an incredible legacy, and that's because her family made sure of that. She passed away in 1995, and 2 years later, they were like, oh, no, we're going to have a movie out because we're not going to let anybody else tell her story. Yeah. And the fact that it took, and, Aaliyah passed in a very tragic way, and I cannot understand the grief that her family goes through, and nor do I aspire to, and nor do I could say I do. But I was like, okay, her legacy should be way more than it is.
Right.
It should be. And if, a lot of people, there's a lot of facts about her that people didn't know. And I just thought it was just going to be a cool exercise. I've always wanted to do a documentary. And I just thought, you know what? Let's see if I can do it on my own. I edited in Final Cut Pro, narrated it. I flew to New York. I got the chance to go to Ferncliff, where she's buried. That was one of the most incredible experiences. I went with my brother. Like I said, he was the one that grew me up on her. And, it was just a really cool, fun thing for me to do. I had no expectations when I put it out. I made it as professional as it could be for myself. It was really just something for me to watch. Like, I don't care what these people say on Twitter or Lipstick Alley or whatever these gutter snipe, sites they're talking about.
It's the gutter snipe for me.
Right. I know what her legacy is, and I'm going to uplift this Black woman who was very integral in my life. It was something I could watch. So when I put it out, I did the trailers and stuff, and everybody was messaging me like, is this coming on theaters? Like, who's doing this? I was like, no, it's going on YouTube. Like, it's just me. I just made it. And they're like, no, this needs to be in theaters. I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about that.
Right.
And, I put it out. Some people were mad. It was supposed to come out on August 25th. I couldn't finish in time. I had a really big test. It would come out the next day. Put it out, and it just blew up.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I could not believe it. It blew up. And it blew up so bad that it got to her Uncle Barry Hankerson. That slimy person. And,
I was going to say, without going too much into detail, what was the pushback?
He ain't gonna do nothing. It's all good. I don't care. He ain't gonna do nothing.
Hey, what was the pushback from them regarding this whole project?
Okay, so let me tell you this, okay? They're funny people. Because as soon as, mind you, at the beginning of the documentary, first of all, like I said, I do everything mostly with pure intentions. I don't do stuff for clout. I wasn't doing like, let me go make it big off Aaliyah's name. I could care less about that. I couldn't have put it up. I just could have had it on my computer, and I would be perfectly fine with it. It was just something to do for myself. I get an email from Barry Hankerson's son. I forget exactly what it said, but it was like it was no header, and he was like, "Do you think you know her more than we do? Do you think you're that important? You might as well reach out to us first before you ever think about doing this. Were you trying to make money off of this?" And I was like, if you watch the documentary, which I clear, and he was, mind you, if in the documentary, I do not go into detail about all the stuff that went on.
Right.
I barely touched everything that went on with R. Kelly because it wasn't about that to me. And, you know, hindsight now, it's like 2020, you know, you have the surviving R. Kelly stuff, you know, all that. Everybody's interested in that. But I'm like, we shouldn't, the focus should not be on that. Her career was so much more than what R. Kelly did. So in the beginning of the documentary, I put, this is a non-profit documentary, something I did for fun. I'm not making any money off of this. It's just something so to keep her legacy alive because nobody else is doing it. So why can't I? They were so mad. They took that down. In 2 days, he was mad. You know, I think I got like a couple of calls from him on my phone, but I kept blocking him. And they just got really angry about it. I didn't really understand why at first. Like, I'm like, there's so many people that have done Aaliyah-related stuff over the years. But I guess their problem was because I talked to Reservoir, who were the owners of her music at the time. And, you know, they were cool with Barry Hankerson. He said, look, because me and my dad called him like, put this back up. Like, no, because people clearly want to see it. They love it. And they were like, well, they think he was too professional.
I never knew this. Wow.
I was like, huh, what does that mean? I said, okay, and like, was it, what are you trying to say? Like, because it was too professional, you didn't want it to be up anymore? So all of that hard work that I put into, and it wasn't for clout, but so I made it like a Windows Movie Maker slideshow and called it a day. Like, no, it was a documentary. If I said I was going to make a documentary, I was going to make a documentary. But that's what they said. They said it was too professional, so they took it down. And I was very confused. And then I got it put back up because people were begging me. They're like, Jimir, please put it back up. My grandmother watched it. We cried. We thought we was only going to watch 5 minutes. We ended up watching the whole thing. You are an amazing storyteller. This needs to be seen. So I fought to put it back up, got it back up, and then her estate took it down. So her estate is her mom and her brother. And they were like, this is too professional. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, if people want to see it, they can message me for it. I still have it. I just felt like, because I was the only one they ever attacked because of that. Other people had re-uploaded that documentary several times,
crazy thing.
And they did not take it down. They did not care, and that's why I knew it was like a little bit of a personal thing. I had no idea why. I never really, at that time, I never really spoke on Barry Hankerson. I didn't really care about him. I wasn't trying to get in all that mess. It was about Aaliyah Dana Hall, and I could care less about anybody else. It was about her. She passed away. She lost her life, and y'all not telling her story right. So what do y'all want to do?
Wow, it's very Barry Hankerson, he gives me very strong Larry Clark vibes. Like, I get very strong Larry Clark vibes from him, but that's a whole other thing.
He is ridiculous. I mean, I've never heard of somebody, so it's really interesting when you think about it. A lot of, especially female artists, their father figures or their uncles or something, they can be real grimy. They can be really, really grimy. But I was like, look, I don't really care. I put it up. It did what it needed to do, in a sense. You know, people saw it. They loved it, and they felt like her story was told justice. So they did what needed to do. If y'all want to take it down and not do anything with her music and let people talk about her crazy, then go ahead.
You mentioned that, you know, your intent was just to tell her story. What other stories are you interested in telling via docu?
Ooh, so many. Okay, so I did a Rihanna documentary. That was interesting because after the Aaliyah documentary, I was kind of on a high. Like, I got to make more documentaries. I got to do something. And at the time, I wished that I could have like done something to get the actual artists involved, but I didn't think I had that platform big enough yet. So I just did, again, like I was in school, I just did the Rihanna documentary. And that was just a fun exercise, like genuinely fun exercise. I love Rihanna to death, but that was just a fun exercise. I feel like a lot of people know her story. There wasn't no new insights. It wasn't about that. It was about her career and how legendary she is. I put that out, and that blew up. Actually, the Grammys tried to take it down last year because I used like 0.5 seconds in it. I was like, girl, anyways. And I got that put back up like a couple of days ago because people were begging me about it again. But it actually reached Rihanna. She sat down and watched it herself with her crew. And then she followed me on Twitter and everything. So I knew, I was like, wow, you have Rihanna, the person I made this about, reaching out to me saying that she loved it. I know that my storytelling lens is something that is not only profitable in one way in the future, but it's important. And I did like a couple of mock trailers for projects that I would love to get greenlit, like a Missy Elliott documentary. I did a trailer for that. That blew up all over the internet because people thought it was actually coming to Netflix, and they were in my inbox this year talking about, is it out yet? I'm like, no. It didn't. It was just an idea. I did talk to Missy about it. We talked about maybe doing it with Netflix, but I'm not necessarily even in a place financially or anything to really like gun for it as hard as I want to. So it would have to be like a production team and everything. Of course, I would want to be the director, but I feel like I won't do anything with her on that project until I'm in that predicament. But I would love to do something on Janet Jackson. I would love to do something on Janet Jackson. I've talked to Jimmy Jam about that. He was like, he watched the Aaliyah documentary. He was like, we got to do something. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm ready to go. Like, y'all know I'm capable. And when that day comes, I would love to bring other, Black creators and filmmakers that I know and love on board. Like, it's not, the documentaries that I did, of course, they were a one-man show because all I had technically was myself. But I would love to bring other cinematographers and just really make it a big thing. But we'll see when that day comes.
What would you say is your intent with music, and what do you want your legacy to be?
I talked to my mom about how I used to think, especially when I was in my dark days, that I needed to craft my legacy now before it was too late. Like I was rushing against time. And that could have been because a lot of people that I looked up to have passed tragically young or something, and that could have just been like, oh, you don't have enough time, do it now. But honestly, even if, everything was said and done today, I would be incredibly happy with what I've done because just to get messages from people. I got a message today from a young man. His name is Joshua. He messaged me. It was this long message. He was basically saying, wow. Like, cause I guess I liked his tweet or something. It was just random. I liked his tweet, and he messaged me. He's like, you have no idea how inspirational you are to people.
Wow. And
I don't think of it like that. When I put stuff up on Twitter or whatever, I don't think like, oh, I'm inspiring this person over there.
Right.
I think the biggest notion of me actually, there was a couple times where I realized that everything that I did expanded upon just the internet. And that was when I went to, actually, it was the first time I was in Orlando. I had gone to there's a producer by the name of Monty Booker. I believe that's the name. And he is on Selection. I'm not sure if you know who they are. They're a collective of producers. They're pretty big. And I'm just sitting there in line like a regular person, ready to go inside. And I had 4 people come up to me. Mind you, I don't think I have a recognizable face like that. Like, who's looking at me? 4 people came up to me like, hey, yo, you're Amorphous from SoundCloud. You did all the remixes and stuff. You're a producer. What you doing here? Why are you not performing? And I looked at them like, mind you, I'm just with my friends just like chilling. I was shocked. I could not believe it because, mind you, that was the producer that was playing at the time. It was someone I looked up to heavily. But to be just in line like a regular person and have people come up and recognize me, that was crazy. And then when I was in Los Angeles, I was walking in Santa Monica one day, and somebody came up to me and was like, I saw your Aaliyah documentary. I recognize your face anywhere. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I like this personally because I'm not that type of person. Like, I'm not going to go out there like, first of all, I don't think anything I've done necessarily warrants that kind of attention in a way. I'm not that kind of person. But that's when I really realized, you know what, even if tomorrow was all said and done, I did make an impact, whether it was big or small. And I'm forever going to be grateful for that. I've done what I was supposed to do.
So what would you tell a 15-year-old version of yourself if you ever cross paths with one?
Fuck everybody else. Excuse my language. No, in all seriousness, I would say don't be afraid. That's really what it is. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of being yourself. Don't be afraid of what the world has to offer. Don't be afraid of, actually making your dreams actionable. I've realized even to this day, it's still something I'm working with. I have so many dreams right now. Like I could, if so many things in my head, so many films that if I could just pick up my camera and go outside and make right now, I could. And in some ways, nothing is really stopping me. Well, COVID-19 is because girl. But without that, nothing's really stopping me. I could pick up my camera and I could go film, whatever. It may not be an Academy Award winning film, but at least I can say I've done it and you learn and grow from that. So to my 50-year-old self, I would say, don't be afraid of nothing. Don't be afraid of yourself. Don't be afraid of your sexuality. Don't be afraid of Jimir. Don't be afraid of yourself. You are your biggest.
Would you say?
I'm sorry.
Would you say it's less difficult to maneuver the industry being a producer versus an artist who is queer?
No way. Because being a producer, okay, so you have like Catronautis, right? Catronautis, he's an amazing producer. When you're under, and my alias is Amorphous. A lot of people do know my actual name, Reece, but that's my alias. So, you're able to kind of slip under the radar more in a way. Like if you're not, even if you are completely out there or extremely flamboyant or just whoever you are, a lot of producers don't get enough screen time to even make it much of an issue. Like not many people are going to worry about it too much. Like when Catronautis came out, nobody cared. But if, let's say a black queer rapper came out, they have a much of a uphill battle than I would in the industry. And I've noticed that. Like I've hung out with a lot of, in LA, I was in a lot of studios with straight men that I knew for a fact would not be recording if I was a black gay rapper or a black gay artist, or I was, spitting a verse or singing on their track. They would not give me that same kind of energy at all. And that's just the sad truth.
Wow. So what can we anticipate next from Amorphous?
Honestly, what is coming next? Okay, let's be honest. COVID-19 is messing everything up.
Everything
up. I know that I'm going to be working more with the division in the future, so that is clearly stuff to look out for. I almost forgot about that. There's one thing I really can't talk about because I'm under an NDA. That's a really, really big opportunity.
Don't you hate those? Oh my God.
I hate them, but you know what?
Yeah.
In some ways, I'm like, you know what? I need them because I know that sometimes I say things too early. I'm like, I got my album coming out.
I mean, you know who album cover I'm about to shoot? Like, okay.
Right. I did the album shoot, the singles out. It's gonna come out in 3 months, and then people be on I'm like Rihanna to these people now. Me and Rihanna in the same boat. Everybody's like, don't care no more because the album gonna come when it comes. Yeah. But other than that, I'm working on editing some different documentaries for some other people. I'm doing a documentary about the hip hop scene in Tampa, Florida. That's cool. But there's nothing really like humongous because a lot of those things that I do that blow up, they just happen. Like I work like, again, like I'll have a mashup idea and I'll just do it. And I'll put it up and it's like, oh, that blew up. And I'm just like, okay, that's cute. Like I'm very grateful for that. So I think that's mostly how I operate. I don't really have a set list of stuff. So you are too much. I don't really have a set list of stuff coming. But I will say just look out for whatever it is because even I don't know. Tomorrow I could put out a whole documentary.
Right. Knowing you, like, wow.
Yeah.
I do want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
It's cool catching up with you. We got to talk more.
Yeah, we need to keep in touch. Tell your brother I said hey.
Please don't save him because he's too much. We gonna talk about that after.
I was going to say this is not the
time. We gonna talk about that.
It's a whole other docket.
Yes.
But no, thank you. Seriously, thank you for giving up your time.
I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you because I feel like your voice is very necessary within not just the LGBTQIA plus community, but as a black man in general who's successfully making these moves, and for taking this time to speak on this platform to help somebody else, I do thank you for that.
Thank you.
Where can we follow you and get more of your music?
You can follow me on the official Amorphous. To spell Amorphous is AMORPHOUS. My Twitter, is Lone Amorphous for some reason. I don't know why I made that. It's LONE AMORPHOUS. And then like my YouTube, all you gotta do is search in Amorphous and you'll find all my stuff. So I'm pretty much everywhere. it's pretty easy to find me.
Awesome. I did just want to give a note to everyone who is watching, who is waiting for the 10 o'clock hour. Unfortunately, Pierre just texted me, and he literally his plane just hit the tarmac, and so that's going to be a whole other hour at least for him to get off the plane and get through baggage claim and then he's literally going from one coast to the other. So I know my brother's going to be tired. So we are tentatively rescheduling Pierre's discussion tomorrow evening. Stay tuned to Poetic Vibes Open Mic, Poetic Vibes DC for that. But again, I do want to thank you, Jimir, for talking to me. And yeah.
You have a great night. We'll talk individually.
Definitely.
Okay. All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.